Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Quick housekeeping. Check out the affiliate links in our description. Using them supports the show, and please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Isn't it something when the digital world, artificial intelligence, stumbles right into old school print, like with newspaper summer reading lists? That's the headline today, a real head-scratcher of a story.
It really is. And what makes this particularly noteworthy is where it happened. We're talking respected publications like the Chicago Sun-Times, the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Major papers.
Exactly. And they ended up publishing a summer reading guide filled with books that, well, simply do not exist. All because of AI-generated misinformation.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack how this actually happened. We'll look at the immediate fallout, what went down right after, and the bigger picture AI's growing role in journalism.
And crucially, what's being done to stop it happening again.
Yeah, exactly. Think of this as getting you up to speed on this, well, frankly, bizarre situation without having to wade through tons of articles. We've done that bit for you.
And it's important context because when we look at the wider media landscape, this wasn't just some random slip-up. It really highlights some growing pains, maybe, with AI and journalism.
Okay, so let's get into the details. This heat index, your guide to the best of summer supplement. Sounds pretty standard, right? Something you'd find tucked in the paper.
Yeah, it was distributed by King Features, which provides a lot of syndicated content. Newspapers often use these, sometimes as advertising, sometimes just extra content for readers.
And the assumption is someone's checked it.
Well, yes, that's the natural assumption.
Yeah.
But that clearly didn't happen here.
Because this reading list had books that were just made up, completely fabricated.
Completely. Titles like Tidewater Dreams, supposedly by Isabel Allende, or The Last Algorithm attributed to Andy Weir. I mean, these are big-name authors.
And these books, just not real.
None in their bibliographies, no. And the human element here is, well, interesting. A freelance writer, Marco Buscaglia, put the list together.
Okay.
He admitted he used AI for research to generate ideas for the list. But then, this is the key part, he didn't double-check if the AI's suggestions were actual existing books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he called himself a really stupid error.
Huh. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how much we rely on these tools. You still need that human check, that common sense step AI just doesn't have yet.
Absolutely. And it's critical to note, the newsrooms at the Sun-Times and the Inquirer, they weren't involved in creating or reviewing this supplement.
Right. So this was a failure in the syndication pipeline, basically, before it even got to the newspaper's own journalists.
Precisely. Which, raises that question about accountability. If a paper distributes syndicated content, even if it's marked as advertising or a supplement, what level of verification should they expect or demand?
Yeah, good question. And that lack of verification became pretty obvious pretty fast, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Readers started noticing. And then the authors themselves. Could you imagine seeing a fake book attributed to you?
Oh, man. Like Isabel Allende must have felt. And didn't another author confirm it publicly?
Yes. Rebecca Mackay publicly confirmed a book listed under her name was totally made up.
Yeah.
That kind of thing naturally blew up a bit online.
I bet. Social media must have had a field day. That's got to hurt the credibility. Even if the newsroom wasn't directly involved.
Definitely. The public reaction, the authors confirming the errors, it really shows the potential damage when false information gets into outlets people generally trust.
So, okay, what was the immediate reaction? What did King Features and the papers do?
Well, King Features acted quickly. They terminated their contract with Buscaglia.
Right.
And they also made a point of publicly reaffirming their company policy against using AI to generate content. So, sending a clear message there.
Okay. And the newspapers. The Sun-Times and the Inquirer.
They both issued statements, basically distancing themselves. They emphasized their own editorial teams had nothing to do with creating or approving the supplement.
Standard damage control, maybe?
Pretty much.
Okay.
They also announced internal reviews to figure out how this supplement got published in their papers in the first place.
Trying to separate their core journalism from this syndicated mistake. But does that really work in the reader's eyes?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The Sun-Times Guild, the journalists' union there, they voiced serious concerns.
I imagine they would.
Yeah, they pointed out the danger to reader trust. When AI-generated stuff, especially faulty stuff, appears alongside their own rigorously checked work, It muddies the waters.
Undermines the whole point, really.
Exactly. It hits right at the core value of professional journalism, that human judgment, the verification process. AI, right now, just can't replicate that. So it forces this whole reevaluation of what readers expect and what they trust.
Yeah, this whole incident feels like it connects to bigger shifts happening in media, right? It's not just a one-off blunder.
You're absolutely right. It's symptomatic of larger challenges. Think about shrinking newsrooms, budget cuts everywhere.
The pressure to do more with less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in that environment, relying on syndicated content or even looking at automated content generation, well, it can seem tempting. But as we see here, it's risky.
And we've seen AI hiccups elsewhere too, haven't we? I remember hearing about Sports Illustrated, CNET maybe.
Yes, there have been other instances. It seems there's this kind of creeping acceptance of AI in content creation, sometimes without fully understanding or maybe addressing the downsides.
Until something like this happens.
Right. These incidents are stark reminders. They threaten the credibility news organizations work so hard to build. It blurs that essential line between fact and, well, AI-generated fiction.
So what's the fix? How do news outlets and the industry as a whole try and prevent this kind of AI error going forward?
It's a multi-layered approach, really, or at least that's what's developing. On an organizational level, you're seeing a reinforcement of policies explicitly banning AI for editorial content generation in many places.
Okay.
And stricter fact-checking, especially for anything coming from outside, like freelancers or syndication services. Extra scrutiny.
Makes sense. If it's not yours, check it twice. What about telling the reader, like, if AI was used even appropriately?
Transparency, that's becoming a huge point of discussion. There's a real push for clear labeling and disclosure when AI has been involved in creating content.
Is that, like, legally mandated anywhere?
There are proposals. The AI Labeling Act of 2023 in the U.S., for example, aims to make it mandatory. And labels might need to be specific how much AI was used, maybe even which AI model.
Interesting. And what about the tech side? Are there tools to actually, like, sniff out AI writing?
Yeah, there's a lot of work going into AI detection tools. Generally, they use machine learning themselves. They're trained on huge amounts of text, some written by humans, some by AI.
And they look for, what, giveaways?
Kinda. They analyze linguistic patterns. AI writing can sometimes be, well, too consistent, too predictable compared to the natural ebb and flow of human writing.
Less variation.
Exactly. They measure things like perplexity. AI text often has low perplexity. Its word choices are statistically probable, kind of expected. Human writing tends to be more surprising, higher perplexity.
Okay.
Another thing is burstiness. Humans tend to vary sentence lengths, short, long, medium. AI, especially older models, might be more monotonous, more uniform in structure.
So it's looking for that sort of, I don't know, human randomness, the imperfections.
In a way, yes. Plus, there are technical methods being explored, like embedding hidden digital watermarks in AI text, or analyzing metadata, the data about the data.
Like a digital fingerprint.
Sort of. Or comparing the text against huge databases of known AI outputs. Ultimately, many tools give a probability score. How likely is this text AI generated?
Sounds clever, but I'm guessing it's not foolproof, like AI gets better, detection gets harder.
You hit it exactly. It's not a silver bullet. You can get false positives flagging human writing as AI and false negatives sophisticated AI text slipping through.
Right.
And the AI models are evolving constantly, so detection methods have to play catch-up. The consensus really is that these tools are helpful, but they need to be used alongside human judgment and verification, not instead of it.
Okay, so bringing it all together then, what are the big takeaways from this whole fake book list fiasco?
Well, first, it's a pretty stark illustration of how easily things can go wrong with AI in media if you're not careful. The potential for embarrassment, for reputational damage, is huge.
Yeah, definitely.
It also shines a light on weaknesses in the system, especially around syndicated or external content. How do we ensure accuracy there? And it just hammers home the need to keep prioritizing accuracy even as automation speeds things up.
It also makes you think about the specific harm, right? Like falsely attributing work to authors that has real-world consequences for them.
Absolutely. It's not just abstract misinformation. It affects real people's reputations and livelihoods.
And for you listening, trying to stay informed but not get buried in details, this story is kind of a wake-up call, isn't it?
I think so.
It really underlines how important it is to be a critical consumer of information. Just because something appears in a trusted publication doesn't automatically guarantee its accuracy anymore, especially with AI entering the picture more and more.
Right. For you trying to navigate this, trying to stay ahead without getting totally overwhelmed by the tech side, this incident shows a shift. We need to adjust how we approach the news and information we consume daily.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Yeah, perhaps think about this evolving dance between human creativity and artificial intelligence and how content gets made. And what's our role in that? As readers, as listeners, what responsibility do we have in figuring out what's reliable? Maybe the thing to reflect on right now is that balance we all strike, consciously or not, between wanting information fast and needing that information to actually be right. Where do you draw that line for yourself?
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.